With all that being said, I didn't mention one of the bigger parts of the Iryna Zarutska murder that left many, including myself, incensed. Her murderer was not unfamiliar with the North Carolina justice system because they had already arrested him more than a dozen times before. Welcome to Wait What, your weekly verbal double take. This is a rabbit hole podcast where a couple of old guys do moderate to shallow dives into various topics, ranging from true crime, paranormal, sports, pop culture, or anything else that we find interesting. We drop episodes every Tuesday, and then on Fridays if we feel like it. You can follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, and Instagram. We appreciate you joining us. Now that we got all this self-promotion stuff out of the way, here. Hello, and here we are again for another episode of Wait What? My name is Daryl, and I will be the leader of this episode. And here I am with the guy that issues vigilante justice to people that do not return their shopping carts to the cart corral. Jason.
I will find you.
Yes, it's so funny. I've actually written about what you just said about the shopping carts in a future episode. It's pretty funny.
And I guess I know you pretty well.
Mhm.
All right, well, speaking of vigilante, well, I don't want to say vigilante. It's just speaking of justice. I'm going to start today off with a death penalty rant.
All right.
Now, on this show, I have voiced my support for the death penalty. I've always believed that if you intentionally take something away that cannot be given back, then you should pay for that with your life. You murder someone in cold blood, you die. You rape someone, you die. You do something to a kid, you die. Now, with all that being said, I've also voiced some of the conflict that I have about this because our courts sometimes put away innocent people.
Uh-huh.
I'm not conflicted anymore. Kill them. Back in August, everyone was horrified to see Iryna Zarutska senselessly murdered. Remember, she was the girl
Ukrainian
on the
bus? Or the
well,
train?
no, it was a
Subway.
She was, yeah. And you hear about stories like hers, where people just die on a bus or a train or whatever. But actually seeing the fear and confusion in her eyes hit me harder than ever just hearing about it before.
Yeah. Something you can't forget.
I have no idea how any parent of a daughter can't see that poor girl and not imagine their daughter in that same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, once you see that and imagine your kid in her place, in that position, how in the world are you not okay with killing a monster that would just do that?
I would be okay with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that happened. Everybody was incensed. Then Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and the world kind of moved on from that story, from Iryna. I haven't moved on. This happened in August, and that piece of shit, DeCarlos Brown, is still DeCarlos Brown. He's still alive and awaiting trial.
Mm-hmm.
He is on video stabbing a woman for no reason in front of witnesses. There's no reason this should take this long.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Why does he even get a trial? It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. Well, he gets a trial. You have to get a trial. That is part of everybody is entitled to the right due process.
We'll show up to the court so we can tell you you're guilty and how long you're going to be in jail for.
Well, I mean, yeah. So since this happened, I've already kind of expanded on my, as I stated earlier, kind of extreme stance on the death penalty. Where I want it broadened to those other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, when you have that much evidence, we do kind of enact frontier justice. I mean, if it's a slam dunk There's no real defense, and by no real defense, I don't give a shit if the criminal is crazy or retarded.
I knew you were about to say that part.
I don't care. You get them in front of a jury within a month, and then you kill them within a month after convicting them.
Yeah, no reason to wait around for 25 years on death row.
Yeah, it is fucking senseless. It is fucking pointless. That is clear as day. No bullshit. Then yes. Now, with all that being said, I still don't trust the courts or government. So there should be another addition to Daryl's capital punishment laws. If you, as a policeman, district attorney, or judge, or whatever other kind of thing, law enforcement or judicial thing, that if you conceal evidence that results in someone being put on death row, then you committed attempted murder, and you are tried for it. If the person they falsely convicted is executed, they're tried for murder, and then they get to find themselves at the end of a rope.
I like it.
I mean,
I
that
can
kind
see
of
how
helps.
you could spin that. No, I can see how you can spin that as a defense attorney or a prosecutor.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing if you're, if all the evidence points that way, you convince the jury of their peers, and then they vote and that person guilty, and then later new evidence is discovered, whether it's DNA or whatever, then no. But I mean, if they are actively hiding and suppressing evidence, which has happened, then yes. I think even if they don't go with my expanded death penalty law, they should definitely do that anyways. Because it really is attempted murder and murder if that person is executed.
Yeah, because they would have to know what the punishment would be for what they're trying to set them up for.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot of this, I feel like it's where we are now, whenever it comes to things like death penalty and all this, is that there are too many people out there with a desire to be virtuous or on the right side of history. And I really, really, really hate that saying. In either way, it does more harm than good. Suicidal empathy is real. We are at a significant point in history, and it's not one that we, should, give a shit on how we're viewed 100 years from now. How are they going to look at us in the history books? I don't fucking care. If we don't harden our resolve and start thinking in terms of survival and safety, then the only history that will be told will be an obituary regarding the self-destruction of our civilization.
Yeah, about our demise, our downfall.
Yeah, I get a little wound up about this stuff. It irritates the shit out of me.
I could tell. Passionate.
With all that being said, I didn't mention one of the bigger parts of the Iryna Zarutska murder that left many, including myself, incensed. Her murderer was not unfamiliar with the North Carolina justice system because they had already arrested him more than a dozen times before.
Yeah.
And kept putting him back out there.
Yeah, for major crimes.
Yeah. For people, I don't know, any of the ones that have more than 2 brain cells, they were outraged because this could have been prevented. And all these bad feelings that we feel about that, I'm going to make them worse. Today's episode is all about cases where we had them in jail where they belong, but someone let them out. Also, I want to note I'm only covering cases of this happening in the United States. Stuff like this is expected to happen in Europe and all the European wannabe countries like Canada and Australia. Your justice systems are a fucking joke. No one cares about your mandatory tickle sessions, your life sentences that last 8 years.
8-year life sentence.
Well, he was behaving quite well. He showed up for tea on time every day. He was good. He was nice. Crocheted.
All is forgiven.
Yeah, you forgot that he raped and murdered 17 women. Anyway. All right. We're going to start this off with a pretty bad one. And one that kind of like eats up a big chunk of this episode. And if it doesn't ruffle your jammies, then you need to take a good long look in the mirror and figure out when you became a useless waste of skin. I'm opinionated. Lauren Johansen was a young lady from Mississippi. While attending Van Cleve High School, she started dating one of the football players named Bricen Rivers. Their relationship was not one of those nice little high school sweetheart stories. According to the family, it was turbulent and sometimes violent. After she graduated high school, she decided to pursue a nursing degree at the University of Southern Mississippi. She also decided that she was just going to end things with Bricen. Going to college, knew her, going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
According to Lauren's family, over the years following that breakup, Bricen would stalk her off and on, break into her apartment at one point, and also show up and try to start fights with men that she tried to date. Which is why they were shocked in 2023 when they learned that Lauren had gotten back with Bricen. As I've stated long ago, I'm not above victim blaming. So yeah, she fucked up. If you don't point out the mistakes of the victim that put themselves in a horrible position, then you are denying someone the possibility of learning from it. Learning from somebody else's mistake is way better than learning from your own.
Absolutely.
I know when you're in an abusive relationship, whether it's mental, physical, or sexual abuse, you feel like you're a piece of shit and you deserve it. You do not deserve it. Your abuser is the piece of shit. They just want you to think that you're the piece of shit so that they feel better about themselves. Yep. And you don't figure out that you're better than them and leave. Getting back with an abuser is stupid because they aren't going to change. And if they did, they still wouldn't deserve to have a relationship with you.
No, it wouldn't be for the better if they changed.
If they were better, they would say, I need to leave that person alone. I was obviously horrible to them.
Yeah, it's only going to make them hang on to you even harder now.
So if you're in an abusive relationship, get out of your abusive relationship. Stay out of that abusive relationship. You owe them nothing. So, all right, back to the story. Well, of course, Bricen hadn't changed one bit. Why would he? He got what he wanted by being a cunt. So He had no reason to stop being a cunt.
Maybe even a bigger one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it gets worse. On December 11th, 2023, Lauren and Bricen were on vacation together in Nashville. Bricen got drunk and decided at some point that Lauren had had sex with the bartender in a town that they were visiting on vacation. Guys, wasn't no fucking rocket scientist. They got into the car to leave the bar, and the insecure douche with a tiny dick commenced to pistol whip Lauren and pull out chunks of her hair.
You say pistol whip? You actually mean a pistol whip?
Yes, she had a gun in her bag because she's a Southern girl. Of course, she got a gun, and he got a hold of it and started beating her with it.
Oh God!
He had her trapped in that car for about an hour. Tiny little dick man, his mom called and happened to hear screaming in the background, so she called the cops. She called her worthless piece of shit son, heard him like fucking with the nice girl, called the cops. Cops show up and they find Lauren in only her underwear screaming for help. He beat the shit out of her. There are pictures of her injuries. Both of her eyes are swollen shut. There's a cut above her eyebrows, about one of her eyebrows, and she has bruises all over, just everywhere. Tiny Dick Bricen was arrested on 2 counts of aggravated kidnapping, 1 count of aggravated stalking, and 1 count of coercion of a witness. After, a week after it all happened, On December 18th, 2023, shithead Bricen's bail was set at $250,000. In the bail hearing, Lauren's father, Lance Johansen, begged the judge to keep him locked up. He told the judge if Bricen got out, he would kill Lauren. After about 3 months sitting in jail, Bricen's lawyer asked for a reduced bail. On April 3rd, 2024, Judge Cheryl Blackburn reduced bail to $150,000 with the order to not leave Davidson County, and he had to wear an ankle monitor.
Mm-hmm. It's still the 10% of a bill, so he had to come up with $15,000.
And so instead of having to come up with $25,000, he only had to come up with $15,000.
Okay.
On the judge's order, it stated that Bricen was not to be released after 4 p.m. because the ankle monitor company that the court wanted to use closed at 4 p.m. The defense later requested that the condition of bail be changed for him to stay in Mississippi at his mom's home because he was having a hard time finding a place to stay in the Nashville area, and it was denied. They're like, no, you keep your ass here. On June 24th, 2024, Bricen is released from jail at 4:05 p.m.
Get the hell out of here. Have a whole head start.
Since the ankle monitor place that had all the details of the exclusion zones and just the court order itself was closed, because like they said, it closes at 4, the bail bondsman took him to a completely different ankle monitor place. The monitoring company, who did not have the court orders, asked the woman-beating piece of shit if he was allowed to return to Mississippi. And he said yes. And they believed him.
Oh my God. So what are the parameters here? You tell me, Mr. Criminal.
Yeah. On June 28th, 2024, a lot of shitty things happen all around the same time. First, the bail guys monitoring company, the one that's not the one that the court wanted, they finally got the court orders. And they said, oh shit, because they saw that he was not supposed to leave. So they called Bricen and they say, get your ass back to Nashville. Bricen's probation officer reached out to the court's monitoring company, the one that they expected him to use, who then let him know that Bricen had never gotten a monitor from them. The same tracking company also let the DA know that Bricen was violating the court orders by not having their monitor. The DA then called Lance, Lauren's dad, and left a voicemail telling him that Bricen was not being monitored and not responding to calls. Lance didn't check that voicemail for 3 days. I don't know if it was because of spam calls or whatever. It's coming from Tennessee. It's not one of his. I don't know why he didn't check his voicemail. He doesn't talk about that. So, June 29th, Bricen actually does go back to Nashville. He goes to the bail bondsman's monitor place and gets a monitor that's supposed to go with the orders.
That's surprising.
Yeah, but he still went back to fucking Mississippi. So it didn't do any good. Bricen called on July 1st. Bricen called in, said he cannot make his July 2nd court date in Nashville because he didn't have a ride. Lance finally checks his voicemail and cannot get Lauren to answer her phone. He only gets a text, and he says it did not seem like a text that she would send. July 2nd, 2024, Lauren's sister, who was her roommate, calls Lance and says Lauren isn't at home and the security camera on their front door has been destroyed. Lauren's reported missing to the local police department. Bricen just completely stops responding to the monitoring company. The Nashville court issues a warrant for Bricen after figuring out he did not go to the right monitoring company and actually had been in Mississippi the entire time, violating the court order. July 3rd, the police use OnStar on Lauren's car to find it, and they find her dead in the trunk, wrapped up in garbage bags.
Oh, man.
According to her father, who actually helped remove her from the trunk with the coroner, he said that she was severely beaten to the point that she even had holes in her head.
Jeez.
After a few hours of looking in the woods, they find bitch boy Bricen and arrest him. The Mississippi judge sets the bail at $1 million. The failures of the Davidson County Court, between the judge lowering the bail, the jail not following the court order, and then the slowness to respond to the violations resulted in Lauren's death, along with just the bail bondsman not following the court orders, the monitoring companies just sitting there taking his word for it. There's a lot of people at fault here.
Mm-hmm.
In Mississippi, the Harrison County DA is pursuing the death penalty, and Bricen is still a cunt. After his lawyers successfully pushed his court date to March of 2026, Bricen smiled, waved, and bowed in front of the cameras. By the way, he pled not guilty. When asked if he believed that, by the press, if he believed that he would be executed, his reply, yes, expeditiously. And I'm here to say not expeditiously enough, you cunt.
Yeah.
Lauren's father shares the same sentiment. He is angry that Bricen is not already dead. Her parents also have filed a $150 million lawsuit against the bail bond company that did not ensure the court orders were followed. So good luck with that.
There's a lot of people to blame on that one, though. Why just stop at the bail bondsman?
No, there's a lot of people to blame, but whenever you go down to the root of it, I mean, the judge lowering the bail, it sucks, but it's not the underlying cause. I mean, she's the one that caught the most shit, but because other things started coming out about her, like she was probably senile. But I don't think that was really the case. There was a lot that, like, the DA did not find his previous arrest because the judge made her determination on the fact that he hadn't been arrested before, when in fact he'd actually been arrested 2 times before. Never for domestic abuse, but it was like a DUI and some sort of attempted theft. But the monitoring company for just going along with it. I mean, the clerk's office for letting him out after 4:00 when the court orders explicitly said not to. So it's easiest to track this down to the bail bondsman, because ultimately, whenever they put up that money for somebody, they are responsible for them. So
yeah, that's true. Man, that's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is one of those ones that just pisses you off. It's just nothing but incompetence all over. So
it makes you think how much they actually do that and the incompetence part, but nothing bad happens. Like, they probably did that with plenty of criminals before, just half-ass on their job.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about. I'm going to go a little bit rapid fire with this next one, because the last one, I do like the big comprehensive thing on Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Lauren and Iryna are both dead because of incompetence in the system. And so now I'm going to move on to talk about the Bail Project. They have enabled monsters with misplaced empathy and mercy. The Bail Project.
Kamala Harris project?
No, it's not. I'll get to it. And besides, Kamala Harris put a fuck ton of people behind bars for really long sentences for like freaking pot and stuff. So, all right. The Bail Project is a nonprofit organization started by the defense attorney, Robin Steinberg, that offers bail money and pretrial services to people that cannot afford it. It's meant to be a way to bring balance to the justice system, so that broke people can have access to what people with money could do for themselves. So, I mean, and it makes sense. There are poor people out there that can't afford bail and get out and take care, keep going to work and make money and stuff. They got to sit in jail the whole time while they're waiting on trial. It could cost them a lot. Since its inception, it has reportedly spent over $90 million on bailing people out of jail. However, like many virtue signals, what seems to be a good idea turns out not to work as well whenever you ignore all the context and nuance just so that you can brag about letting people out of fucking jail. Donnie Allen is a criminal in Ohio that has been arrested for burglary, assault on a peace officer, resisting arrest, and then back on December 4th, 2025, he was arrested for drug possession, breaking and entering, vandalism, obstructing official business, and possession of criminal tools.
Damn.
Really, what a list of accomplishments.
Yeah. So he's a busy boy. The judge set Donnie's bail at $15,000. Poor old, frequently arrested Donnie couldn't afford bail, so in comes the hero, the Bail Project. 2 of Donnie's family members say that they told the Bail Project to leave him in there. He couldn't keep getting into trouble if he was locked up. It is unknown if the Bail Project even looked at his previous 10 arrests, but we know they ignored the family because they submitted a motion to the court on December 8th, and the judge lowered the bail to $5,000. The Bail Project then paid his bail and got to pat him on the back as Donnie walked out of jail on December 9th and got to sit there and think about what good people they are. 5 days later, December 14th, Donnie was arrested for shooting and killing a man named Benjamin McComas. A grand jury indicted him for aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, felonious assault, and having weapons while under disability. And of course, the media was like, hey, Bail Project, do you have a comment about this? And they have a spokesperson that said this. The Bail Project condemns violence, and we are deeply concerned by recent allegations involving Mr. Allen. Any loss of life is a tragedy, and we remain committed to building a fairer and more just pretrial system that respects due process, promotes safety, and avoids a misguided reliance on cash bail.
What a load of crap.
If this doesn't clue you into what type of people are running this fucking organization, nothing else will. There's nothing in there saying, oh, we fucked up. Maybe we shouldn't have got that one out. Or anything.
What are the qualifications? You just got to apply for it?
I don't know. They don't really talk about that. You just got to be poor, can't afford it. It's or something. It's just they do no vetting here.
Just about the numbers, huh? How many can we do?
Yeah. In April of 2019, Samuel Lee Scott was arrested in St. Louis, Missouri after he hit his wife in the face. He was charged with misdemeanor domestic assault, and the Bail Project posted his $5,000 bail. Hours after his release, Samuel Lee Scott beat his wife to death. In 2022, he was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. The response to this incident was not through a spokesperson, but from the founder, Robin Steinberg. No one could have predicted this tragedy. It is important to remember that had he been wealthy enough to afford his own bail or bonded out by a commercial bail bond agency, he would have been free pre-trial, just as, same as he was this time. In times like this, we must come together for his family and keep sight of the need to transform the larger system that create poverty, racism, and violence, including the pre-trial bail system.
Of course I'm delusional!
Not my fault. Not my fault.
This is why,
regardless.
Yeah, this is why I hate virtue signaling, because the results or consequences, they don't matter. It's their intentions that matter. That's the important thing. It's like, what did I intended to do good? She points out that if he had money, he would have been out. But he didn't have money, you stupid bitch. If someone had bonded him out, no one else did bond him out. It was your organization, you stupid bitch.
Yeah, they would have looked at his track record and realized that wouldn't have been a good idea.
Well, his family probably just knew how fucked up their relationship was. It's like, no, he's better behind jail.
Yeah, and they knew he would have made a beeline right back to her house.
And then she further tries to justify it by blaming the system that would have had him safely behind bars if it wasn't for this stupid bitch in her organization.
I'm pretty impervious to stuff like that.
Wow. And sometimes it's easier just to take the blame than it is to try to blame somebody else.
Well, I mean, when you take blame, especially whenever you're something with money, you have to be careful whenever you take blame, because that'll end up getting your ass in a civil suit. If you say it's my fault, that's evidence against you in a civil suit. I get that. But I mean, even if you say we're investigating on how we're vetting the people that we bail out, something's trying to show that you want to improve, and not sit there and say, well, if he got out of jail another way, it still would have happened.
Yeah.
But it didn't. You did it, you dumb fucking bitch. God, I hate her. December 2020, Marcus Garvin was arrested for stabbing a customer at a convenience store in Indianapolis. The person survived. On January 11th, 2021, so about a month or so later, the bail project got his bail lowered from $30,000 to $1,500.
Damn.
The bail project bailed him out. Then 6 months later, Garvin stabbed a 30-year-old woman named Christy Holt to death and attempted to dismember her corpse. He got 45 years in prison for that one. And again, the bail project condemned the violence and tried to focus on their good intentions. I don't give a fuck about your good intentions. The initial goal of bail project, I can get behind, like in events of like DWI or various other smaller instances of nonviolent crimes and maybe victimless crimes. Do it for hookers and stuff like that. But you don't just do it on a blanket wide scale. When it comes to people in jail, I'd rather risk having the wrong one in there than the wrong one out of it. If the wrong person is in jail, that person will be bored, angry, scared, but they'll also be fed, clothed, washed, and have a roof over their head. If the wrong person is out of jail, it can obviously get people killed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny because they like to say, well, yeah, that's only happened this handful of times. If I did anything, like if we were doing this podcast and this podcast got somebody killed, I would just one would make me be like, oh, okay, maybe we need to rethink how, if we need to do this or how we do it and all this other stuff. Of course, we don't not that many people watch us, so it doesn't matter. But they're just like, yeah, how many does it take? How many people are going to have died before they're like, you know what? Maybe people aren't going to think that we're good anymore, because that's the only way they're going to change their mind. They care if people think that they're doing good and that they're being good. It's like, what number of people have died when they're like, you know what? I think people are going to think that we're not good. And I need people to think I'm good. It makes me feel good.
So that's 3 people. And when did this start? 2024?
2019. The first one I talked about was 2024, but the actual project started in 2019. I started with that first one just because, it's still ongoing. It's still pretty fresh and everything.
Man.
I had a couple more of these that were just bad decisions from judges, where a judge just made a choice and it let somebody out that ended up killing people, kind of like Iryna Zarutska. but I'm tired of this topic. I got tired of writing it. I got tired of reading about it. It pisses me off to no end that we keep trying to protect and save the wrong people, and it just keeps leading us. It just keeps leading us into more and more trouble. I mean, I can get why people would be upset about ICE. You know, if they go in and they raid like a restaurant and just get a bunch of Mexicans that are just
round up everybody.
I mean, now granted, I would still agree with them getting them out. That's just my personal opinion. You break a law, you pay for breaking that law. But I can understand somebody protesting it. And by protesting, I mean standing with a sign somewhere and being on the news talking
out of the street.
You know, not trying to like stand in the way of police, of officers doing their job, and definitely not doing it while you have a gun on you, you dumb fuck. But whenever these people that are out there like protesting, a lot of them aren't protesting. They are disrupting,
agitating.
Agitating. Yeah. Well, they're interfering with investigations. And I mean, and the fact that so many of them aren't in jail already, just it leaves me dumbstruck. But whenever they're doing it, like the reason Minnesota was so bad is because every other state, whether it's Texas or Tennessee or any of the other ones, ICE would come here, say, hey, do you have any illegal immigrants in your prison? And are they these people? And they say, yeah. And then they give that person over to ICE, and ICE would get rid of them. Yeah. And they were the bad ones, the ones that were like the child molesters and all that other stuff. Minnesota let them the fuck out of jail. And they wouldn't even let them go in to get them. And these people are fighting to protect murderers and shit. And that is fucking insane. And if you just would have cooperated, you wouldn't have had them marching down your fucking street pissing you off. But that's what you wanted. Because that was the visuals. That's how the news works. Fuck off. Fuck all of you.
Yeah. And what you said too, the difference is in a lot of these other cities, the local police forces were helping as far as if there were protests, the crowd control part. In Minnesota, they were not helping. They were gone, told to stand down.
Well, I mean, there wasn't much to protest at other places. Because do you think protesters are going to go to a prison to protest? Let Pedro the pedophile go. Let him go. No.
It's maddening. I don't understand their logic.
Yeah.
Because they're saying they're kidnapping people, yet the person that's supposed to be kidnapped, they're going all peaceful and calm to the cop car, and yet if he's getting kidnapped, you would think he'll be going a little ballistic.
Well, some of them do go. I mean, there was one in Minnesota where the guy fired some shots at the ICE officer and all that other stuff. I mean, these are not good people. The ones that they're specifically targeting. I mean, ICE is not sitting there with like the names of all the people that work at the nail salon and that right now they're looking at the ones with all the bad names. I mean, granted, they will eventually work their way down to the ones that are not violent criminals.
Yeah, that's way down the list.
But yeah, it's all dumb. I can't stand it. It pisses me off. It's so against logic, and then oh god, it kind of cracked me up. They're sitting there just talking about the Super Bowl where they like started listing off all those countries as America or whatever. And it's all the country, not all, but a lot of them are countries where we get a bunch of illegal immigrants from there and we're trying to send them back. And they're like, yeah, these places are great and wonderful. Go back. No.
Yeah, why did you leave to begin with? Oh my gosh.
Now that we done pissed, some of our people off that might listen to this, whatever. That's going to do it for today's episode. Let me know if you think I'm too much of a cynical asshole, and I'll let you know that you're an idealistic idiot, but make sure you do that in the comments below. We'll put it out there. And then join us next time when Jason, if he isn't too busy sewing his vigilante hero costume.
Oh my God, that would be so much fun. That would be so much fun. Not the sewing part, but just having a costume.
If he's done with that, he'll tell us some stuff that'll make us say, wait, what?
Yes, I will.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Wait What? This show's available on YouTube, Good Pods, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. We love to hear from you. Please comment on what you just listened to, pass along episode ideas, or just talk to us at Wait What Podcast in our Facebook group or on TikTok, Instagram, or X. Again, we really appreciate you joining us. Come back again to hear about some stuff that will make you say, wait, what?